You are listening to Draw 4 Podcast. Good tidings, and thanks for joining us. My name is Joshua Kelley. I'm a member of the production team here for Draw 4, and I like to play Modern.
I'm James Kelley, also a member of the production team, and I also like to play Modern and Casual.
And there is no guest this week, because it's just the two of us.
We are going into the Upkeep. Untap, Upkeep, Draw. In a world of Eldrazi, Infect, Affinity, Tron, and countless other decks, we are actually instead going to focus right now on what happens if someone actually gets bored with the deck they've played for a while and gets tired of it, or it's not doing as well as it once used to, especially with shifts in the meta. Do you trade it in for money and start anew, or do you rework it and try and keep it relevant and playable?
Well, I've been in this situation for a couple months now recently. I started seeing Naya burn, more so just Naya in general, but it started off with the burn. When it started making the rounds in the top 8s and top 16s and all of the lists for net decks and all that, I just saw it and I'm like, that looks really fun. I've always had a fascination with the Naya Kellers. I know, is it still in my heart? But Naya, they just work really well as Kellers together in terms of a deck. It's been coming back, so I'm happy about that. And I've just been trying to work around, do I go burn? Do I go creature heavy? Do I try and do a combination of both? I've been finally getting it down and just getting the last little pieces of the puzzle put together, and I'm happy with the outcome so far. And it is mostly just based off of obvious net decking and all that, because if you want to be good, you gotta net deck. It's just kind of a rule now.
You've also been getting suggestions from friends, players at the card shop, even some of the shopkeepers that actually do play in our Modern events at our local hobby shop.
Yeah. I have been getting some help from that, because getting help from friends and fellow players is always nice. But like I said, I'm happy with the outcome so far, and my story is just one of countless struggles players face. Do you stay? Do you go into a new deck? Or just try and rework one? And James, I don't know how you've been dealing with any of those issues.
I had a Abzan doubling season deck that I had, and it originally was really, really good. It's just that it just decided to start hating on me and not giving me the stuff I needed. And I even mass shuffled, I pile shuffled, I did all the shuffling and everything like that.
I remember this, sorry to cut you off, but I actually do remember this. You even asked us to shuffle it for you, just all of us who had played Magic, and we were just kind of doing side events, and we're just like, we'll try and help you. And even then, 12 times shuffling it around, all through the mass shuffling, the rifle shuffling, the pile shuffling, it just hated you.
It was a good deck whenever it wanted to work, because I had Elspeth, Knight Errant, I had Siege Rhino, I had Doubling Season, obviously, for a namesake. I also had a Johnny Mentor of Heroes, because 100 Life is funny.
No, it's not.
Anyways, and then Josh, you also had an Affinity deck that you had together for a while, but then you just got bored of it.
It's not so much that I got bored, it's just the fact that
people were hating you.
No, not the fact either. I just didn't want to spend even more money than what I had already done. I had just got the opals for Christmas, and I had seen people said that Glimmer Voids would have been a thing to need, Arcbound Ravagers would have been a thing to need, and I'm just sitting here like, no, I basically need to pay for 2 more playsets of opals, essentially, with the price of Arcbound Ravager and Glimmer Void and how they've been going. I just didn't want to have to deal with that all over again, so I just cashed out the opals, because thankfully some shops needed them, because too many people gave them foils, and basically threw together my Naya Burn deck for free, and that was the end of it until Burn started getting boring to me, and just made it into Zoo.
With decks and everything like that, it's a sort of a fine line strategy sort of deal that you gotta go with. Like, you have to play personal interest versus, wanting to do well. Because, having fun with a deck that you really enjoy playing and having fun and just playing Magic with that deck against others is what is important. And if either or is lost, having fun or winning, necessarily winning's not everything. Having fun trumps having a winning record, but some days there are just moments where your brain just decides there's a fine line you gotta ride with it, and dependent upon if it's a neck deck that you had or if it's just something that you homebrewed together with friends and got suggestions from them, you gotta play around with it and see.
I would agree with that, but you also gotta remember how highly competitive some local metas can be.
All right, it's time for the Manaleak Article of the Week, and this time it is Do Kids Have a Place in Magic the Gathering by Kerry Meyerhoff. And this is actually a really good article considering kids are up and coming in households and families and things like that for, those who wish to have children. It was a really good article, and it really shows that the older generation, the ones that started Magic, who found Magic in the early days, in the 90s and early 2000s, they're getting older, growing up. They have families, they have their own lives to worry about. And necessarily us being, college students 10, 20 years down the road, we're going to be those same people. So we have to keep the current generation up to date and interested in Magic. And if we lose that interest into it, then we'll just lose the entire game base, and it'll just be a bunch of us old farts in a retirement home playing Magic, just reliving the heydays of it. So necessarily kids are important for the game, whether they're 9, 10, 11 years old. Wasn't the one person that went to semis in the championship round, he was 12.
Oh, there was a 12-year-old there. I do remember seeing that. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think they had went to championship, but don't count me on that. I'll have to probably make a text edit in the video for YouTube.
Just make an annotation. Just blam!
So, yeah, kids are definitely important and do have a place in Magic. I know at the comic shop that we play at, and along with our hobby shop, 2 different places. The comic shop is closer to college for us, so whenever we hang out with friends, we sometimes go there to play. And I know there was a father and son that had played. The kid was like 7. Actually, I would say 9 at most.
Yeah, he's a good little fellow. He knows his stuff.
He's still learning the small nuances, like Platinum Angel, for example. Our friend had an Angel deck, and it had Platinum Angel, and the kid could not grasp how Platinum Angel worked and affected the game state. But, that's with time, effort, and everything like that. He'll learn and grow from it.
To be fair, though, it does kind of state the obvious.
Yeah.
It really does kind of state the obvious. Now, if it were, like, doing an end step, like, say you played a creature, you attacked with another creature, you go to the end of your turn, you pass turn. I say, for example, at the end of your turn, I crack a fetch land. Something like that would be something that I would say is a bit of a nuance to still kind of learn, because I know when we got back into Magic, I remembered playing games and not having to worry about stuff like that, because granted, James and I were still new to the game and everyone was kind of treating us like we were new, which is fair. But getting back into the game, we started getting like really fast people with it. They were getting faster and faster, and we're just kind of like, whoa, hold up, what was that? And then they'd have to like slow down their steps just so we could catch up. Granted, they were good friends and they were very patient with us. I don't know how that would affect your local meta at all, but if that were to be the case with like a kid, I would say if they want to be competitive with the game, at least show them the steps. Not just the main phase, combat phase, second main phase, end step phase, and untap, upkeep, draw phases. Show them the little inner working phases. Like I just stated, the whole, it's the end of your turn, I'm going to do a thing on the end of your turn before it actually becomes my turn. Just stuff like that.
Yeah, and, also along with it in the article, you made a good point about, showing them and helping them learn the game with intricacies and things like that. The article also had suggested about maturity as well, which is sort of an underlying theme with a lot of players, How mature are you as a player? And Kerry had given an example throughout the entire article about she was trying to test out a tier 1 deck, and this kid just brought a kitchen tabletop deck that him and his dad threw together like 15 minutes before the game. And, the kid, took everything in stride. He was polite. He was gentlemanly about everything. Even when he had one priority over starting the round first, he passed, starting the match over to Kerry, which, he even stated in an article, ladies first. And she was actually dumbfounded by this just because, this is a kid, going off of the old adage, ladies first, obviously.
I mean, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, and I've done that before. It's just, you gotta weigh skill, maturity, and the knowledge that the person has going into it, whether it's a kid or, like whenever we started back up and everything like that. And this is actually also the same kid I had mentioned in a previous episode. I forgot which one. This was the same kid that got Baby Jace off of someone from...
To be fair, this also referencing... This is the kid that's from our local hobby shop, not the one that Kerr had faced in their matchup. We're talking about the one from our matchups.
Yeah, sorry about that.
He was the one that had gotten the Jace Vryn's Prodigy off of a fellow player who was nice enough to give it to him, mainly because, one, at the time, Jace was $8.
Yeah, that was the thing.
And two, he was just being nice.
Yeah, the kid actually was like, oh, I hope I pull something, and then everyone opened packs and everything. This guy just handed him Jace because he didn't need it or want it. He knew the value of it, but he didn't want it. He figured the kid would have a little bit more appreciation for it. So,
and then I proceeded to face it 2 weeks later.
Oh yeah, that wasn't fun.
No, it wasn't.
Of course, this is also the same Jace that almost got swiped because someone decided to be a dickhead.
Let's just go with that.
Yeah. Someone decided to
Someone basically decided to try and screw over this little kid by trying to swipe a Jace off of him.
Yeah, like I said, this was mentioned in a previous podcast.
Enough with the past.
Yeah, enough with the past, Getting back on topic, it's maturity, knowledge, skill, everything like that. And you just gotta show responsibility for your actions and just go and appreciate the learning experiences of the game itself.
Knowledge.
Yes.
I didn't want to do it, but at the same time I did. I'm sorry.
I know.
I just really wanted to say it.
I know, it's okay.
Knowledge. Community topic.
Yeah, for this week, it is going beyond the current metas, pro players, and even worrying about reprints, especially with Eternal Masters coming up. Reprint damnation, damn it. I wanted to bring up something a little bit more personal, and it is the 7 deadly sins in Magic the Gathering for you as a person. And I found it while scouring Reddit, and the user Royal Fishness originally made the post of thinking about the 7 deadly sins. Greed, lust, envy, wrath, pride, gluttony, and sloth. So then it actually got to be really interesting to see some people's reactions on the thread. So they are going to be going as followed. Greed. What is your most expensive card in your collection?
In my case, that would be
Damnation!
Now, that's in your case, and you have 4 of those things. In terms of my collection as a whole, I'd say the Force of Will that I traded up for. Next one is Wrath. What card do you hate the most? In my case, it's not so much one card. It's multiples, and I'm kind of going to cheat on this one because James plays most of these, and I freaking hate them. It's the ones with Hexproof or Shroud.
Yay!
I know there's ways around them, but if I don't have any way around them, it makes me mad.
Shroud is a less good version of...
It's a strictly worse.
It's a strictly worse version of Hexproof.
Anyways, what's your Wrath card?
Oh boy. My most hated card. I don't really think I have a most hated card.
I mean, you can cheat like me and just put them in a group.
But thinking about it, I don't really have anything like that. Whenever I'm going against an opponent, I know that there are going to be decks where it's just like you really just don't have any answers to anything, even if you sideboard, just because of how everything goes. I don't know. I try to not hate anything like that.
Cop out.
I would say the most annoying deck, I'm going to go with decks that do not allow opponent interaction with each other. And I know, as a Tron player, that doesn't really give me an acquiesce or a free pass for that. I know. Throw the hate shade, all that stuff like that.
All the shade. I'm going to seismic blast you with shade.
But it's just, I faced a multiple turns deck that was mono blue, and that thing was annoying.
That guy!
That thing was annoying as all hell.
We all know that guy.
So it's like, necessarily, yeah, it wasn't fun to play against, but it's just, it was just annoying. I had answers, I just couldn't get anything to do with it. You just get stuck in that rut during a match. It's just like, when do I decide, do I concede the match, or do I just let this play out and see if he makes a mess up or not?
Because that's always fun. Gluttony. What speculations did you make that worked out?
Thinking or saying that something was going to happen, like a ban, a deck that was going to be good, a card that was going to soar up in value, things like that.
Eternal Masters being predicted thanks to Reddit.
Thanks, Reddit.
In terms of cards and stuff, it's not so much that. I mean, pulling a top deck is nice. I know the other night I pulled the Lightning Helix off the top after saying, boy, wouldn't that be great right about now, and pulled one.
I don't really have a gluttony. I never really made any speculations. Actually, wait, I did. Ugin, being in Tron. I'd initially, because I had opened Ugin whenever I got Fate Reforged, I got 4 packs of cards, just because I didn't want to spend the money for a fat pack on it. I was like, screw it, let's see what I pull. I pulled the Ugin within the first pack, if my memory serves correctly, and he's now in Tron, and he's been consistent as hell in that deck, and it's great.
I was going to say, because as soon as you said speculations, it reminded me of one of our best friends now, Austin Henry. He made a speculation when Shadow of the Silver Innistrad first came out about Tireless Tracker?
Yeah, if my memory serves correctly, but of course that's standard meta stuff.
But still, speculating that it would have gone up in price, and everyone scoffed at him about it. And then they turned around and were like, we're sorry.
The Uvenwald, too, that's really
good.
Oh,
yeah, Traverse the Uvenwald. Fun commander card if you haven't used it yet.
You, our other friend Harrison, Henry, a lot of people made speculations about it.
Okay, next one is...
Sloth. What aspect of your game do you know needs work, and or what should you be doing that you are not?
James, I could say something right now.
I know. Grixis Shadow. I need to just learn to kill myself appropriately and learn to stop.
No, I was going to say you took too damn long when we first started playing the game. Let me tell you something. This guy used to take so long for turns that it got to the point where he would pass turns while he was still playing his turn. Granted, we didn't know most of the rules back then, but he was taking so long that he would just pass turn until he figured out what the hell he was doing.
Yeah, trying to figure out board state was a problem with me back then. And, I'm getting better and learning how to recognize everything like that and trying to predict, what my opponent might have in their hand, what they could do if they have untapped mana, especially if they have, like, a full set of untapped, if they have their entire land base untapped and stuff like that. It is how it is. I would also have to say an aspect of my game that needs work or that I'm not fixing that I should. Oh, yeah, actually, this sort of actually coincides with Wrath. Frickin' Chalice of the Void. I get so caught up in what a turn I could do, especially if it's a really bonkers turn, that I know I could get my opponent. But I Chalice of the Void for, say 2, just because of those small annoying cards, especially counter spells and things like that. And I try and play my own, and it just...
You just forget that it does it to yourself.
Yes, I just keep forgetting about it. So
it's just like Eidolon of the Great Rebel hitting both myself and my opponent. I don't play that card anymore, mainly for that one reason, because I hated racing myself.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
In my case, I would say, what do I need to work on? Because I know just bashing on him, because he's my brother, I can do that, but just bashing on him, in my case, it's more so working on everything. I just need to work on everything better. Because this game, I've said it before and I'll say it again, and it is so true about this game. It's easy to learn, but very difficult to fully master everything about the game. Especially when new sets come out or just anything happens where there's new rules, new nuances, new little, tiny little intricate details that you need to work on.
New mechanics added to the game.
Yeah, more so me and myself as a player, what I need to work on, just everything. I mean, I can survive games no problem. It's just, I don't know. It's just everything. We got 2 more. There's Pride and Envy. We'll start with Pride first. What achievement in Magic the Gathering are you most proud of? I can state one obviously off the top of my head. It's when I traded up for Force of Will. Because there's actually a funny story about that. When we go to the comic shop that's close to our campus for college, we have a friend that works at the comic shop, and they have a lot of cards that are for trades. And during that night that actually I had to face the kid that had the Jace Vryn's Prodigy, I was looking through the shop before the Modern event, and I'm like, hey, there's some cards I don't need. Wonder if I could trade them in. Fortunately for me, and fortunately for the friend of ours that works at the shop, he needed them. I'm like, hey, I'll trade these in. What can I get for them? And he was like, well, about this much. And I'm like, okay, is there any way I can pay for myself to get into the tournament tonight? And he's like, I can do you one better. And he pulls out this little box big enough for multiple Magic cards. He says, these are some rare tradable cards that we have. And I'm like, okay, what do you have? First one he pulls out is an Arcbound Ravager. And I just immediately told him, as much as I would love to have one of those, more so for trade value than anything, I'm going to have to pass. And then there were some other ones. I couldn't remember which ones. I think there were some black cards, some green cards, I think a red card here and there. And then just out of the corner of my eye, I see 6 Force of Wills. And he just kind of looks down at the Arcbound Ravager, looks over at the pile of Force of Wills, hands one over, and I'm like, yes. Just all yes, thank you. Unless I get another moment like that, I don't think anything will top it, apart from me trading in 4 Mox Opals for about 90% of my Naya deck. What was your proudest moment?
I would have to say the proudest moment for me as a mill player was milling somebody 30 cards in one turn. That was great.
Although, funny thing also, that same night that all that stuff happened, with me getting the Force of Will, I placed third in that event, and that's the highest I've ever done in an event. I know it's an LGS event, but for me as a somewhat casual, somewhat competitive player, I was proud of that moment.
Anyways.
And last one.
Envy.
Envy.
Oh boy.
What card in your friend's collection do you want the most?
I don't know. I don't really get envious of people. I'm like, oh, hey, cool, that's a really great card. How'd you get that? And then they go and just like, oh, I pulled it, I traded for it, but then I didn't need it for the deck I was making. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say we're kind of the same way. We're more so, oh, cool, you have this card. Not so much out of jealousy, just more so out of fascination and wonder. Because that game still has a hold of me, and that part of the reason why I got into the game. I'm not so much envious about anyone or anything.
I can't necessarily say that I'm not envious about it sometimes, but most of the time, 90%, 10%, I'm one of those cool, calm, collected people, and then the 10% I'm just like, how the hell did you get that card?
Well, I mean, I could state the obvious and say Tarmogoyf,
Yeah.
but there's also, like, we have one friend that has a couple copies, signed copies, by the way, Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I believe he also has a playset of Force of Wills. I don't know if they're signed or not. I can't really state any card that I'm envious over. I'm more fascinated than envious over anything. Like, just old cards in general. I mean, one card that I've never seen, but I am really intrigued upon, Mishra's Workshop, is one that I've never seen, except for in just online articles and all that. I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and holy cow. It's just one of those cards that is so fascinating that I've never seen it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I've seen plenty of the dual lands. I've seen plenty of the Power 9 before. I've even seen an Unlimited Black Lotus. But Mishra's Workshop is one of those cards that I've never seen. Again, not so much out of envy, it's more so out of fascination. Because as we both have just stated, we're more so fascinated rather than envious over things. So, enough about us talking on this. We want to know from you guys, and comment on just the boards and the threads and all that, on whether it's off of the Manaleak's website, where you're seeing this article, or the YouTube. What are your 7 deadly sins of Magic the Gathering? We want to know. So, just let us hear them.
Time to close up shop.
No!
I know. We enjoy rambling on too much.
We're two idiot brothers that like to ramble about magic. We're sorry.
See, I started saying we're idiots, and you end saying we're idiots.
We're two halves of a whole idiot.
We're the Kelley twins.
I'm Josh.
James.
You have been listening to Draw 4 Podcast. We wish you good fortune, and may you draw well.